So a little of my background here. I lived in mainland China for about 2 years of my life. Um, I've also traveled to Japan and Korea and a few other parts of Europe, and I've even been to Russia. But for now, let's talk about mainland China. So, uh, here's a picture of me below. It's me and my girlfriend. Uh, the reason I look like the shredder is because it was freezing cold outside. The coldness in Beijing that day, it was in January or February. The coldness during that time was unlike anything I've ever felt. If I didn't have that mask on, I feel like I would choke. It was just so cold. And during that picture, I had to take the hat off. I was like, quick, take the picture, take the picture. It was just that cold. So, Beijing coldness is unlike anything you've probably ever felt unless you've lived in Russia or another really northern area of the globe. Anyways, um, just a quick introduction. China has a very bad reputation, I think. When people choose where to study abroad, usually the first places they choose is Japan, because, Japan has a pretty big following in America. Things like the cartoons, the anime, the quirkiness, and then maybe the second choice would be something like South Korea, or maybe Taiwan or Hong Kong, usually, or even Thailand, but usually China is not the number one choice, and I'll admit it wasn't for me either. Um, the whole communism thing is it's like a bad word in America, and it has been since maybe the Cold War, or maybe before then. The spread of communism, it was something people were very afraid of, and it's very misunderstood. And I'll go into this in my future videos. Um, as for where I lived in China, the first time I went to China, I went for about a week. I just wanted to visit. Um, at that point in my life, I was just kind of like in a transitional period, I guess. I didn't have any kind of real direction or goals with my life. I just graduated high school. I didn't really want to go to college, so I pretty much just worked. I worked a few security jobs. I saved up, and then I went to China. I went to Xi'an, which is the northern area, and then I liked it a lot. And then I went back, and I went back to Dalian, and I stayed in Dalian for about time. I went to China. I went to Dalian. I was there visiting another girlfriend of mine. I stayed there for about 7.5 months. At this point, I think I was 22, or 21 or 22. I went there August 2011. The reason I went there actually was an accident. I first went to Japan, and I wanted to enroll in a TEFL program for 1 month to teach English in Japan. That was my dream. I was informed that you can only get the visa. You can only get the job, but in order to get a work visa, a requirement is that you need a 4-year degree. So at that time, I didn't even have a 2-year degree. So I didn't want to go all the way back to America, so I decided that I would just go to China, because I do prefer China over America. So at that time, I went from Tokyo to China, and I stayed there for 7.5 months. I stayed there. I ended up running out of money, so I had to come back home, and then I wasn't able to come back until March 2015, and I stayed in China for over a year, and I stayed in Shanghai that time, and that was where I visited this place here. And so I will go into greater detail of what I did there and my ventures, but that's just a little bit of my background in China, and in future videos I will have a different topic each week that maybe some of you who are looking to study abroad to China, or if you're interested in China, you might want to know. Okay?